Be honest. How many times have you looked at someone's Instagram story, saw them on vacation in Bali, sipping some neon-colored drink with an umbrella in it, and thought, wow, I'm behind in life? Spoiler alert, you're not behind. They're just better at taking pictures than they are at paying their credit card bill. So today, we're breaking down 10 reasons why people look richer than you, when in reality, they're usually drowning financially. Because here's the truth. Most people aren't rich. They're just renting the costume of wealth. And today, I'm going to prove to you why the people who look like they're winning are usually the ones getting crushed by hidden debt, fake flexing, and financial FOMO. By the end of this video, you'll realize you're not late. You're actually ahead of the game. And along the way, I'll show you how to stop playing the comparison game and focus on building real wealth quietly. Because real wealth doesn't need validation. So let's get into it. Reason number 1, social media is a highlight reel. Let's just be honest. Social media is basically everyone's personal PR team. Nobody's showing you the bloopers, only the trailer. Think about it. When's the last time you saw someone post, just got my credit card declined at Target? Never. But they'll definitely post, just bought this new flat screen TV, look at me balling out. Social media is Photoshop with Wi-Fi. Your college friend who always travels? What they're not posting is the 9 months they spent eating frozen burritos so they could afford that one trip to Greece. Oh, and tell me if this sounds familiar. You log on to TikTok and there's some guy showing off his new Tesla. Meanwhile, you're just trying to keep your 2009 Honda Civic from making that weird clicking noise every time you turn left. But here's what nobody tells you. Most of those Teslas, leased. Most of those designer bags, on credit. And most of those smiling vacation pictures, carefully cropped so you don't see the mountain of debt lurking behind the photo. And let's talk Instagram vacations. You'll see the poolside cocktails, the beach sunsets, the perfect selfies. What you don't see is them sitting in coach next to a crying baby for 9 hours, or the fact that they put that trip on a credit card with 23% interest. Basically, what I'm trying to say is this. When you compare yourself to that feed, you're not comparing apples to apples. You're comparing your behind-the-scenes footage to their highlight reel. And of course, you're going to feel behind, because you're looking at the polished movie trailer of their life while living in the uncut, raw version of yours. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying people are lying. I'm saying they're curating. Just like you don't post every boring Tuesday eating cereal in sweatpants, they don't post their struggles either. Which makes you think, wow, they're winning. And I'm not. But trust me, most of them are just winning at filters, not finances. And if Instagram is tricking you into thinking you're broke, wait until you see how lifestyle inflation is convincing people they're rich, right before it smacks them in the face. Reason number 2, lifestyle inflation, AKA keeping up with the Kardashians on a Walmart budget. You know that moment when someone gets a raise, and suddenly it's like they've joined a new tax bracket of personality? They were eating $5 sandwiches last week, but now it's $18 avocado toast with truffle oil every single day. That's lifestyle inflation. The disease where your expenses magically rise to match your income, leaving you feeling just as broke, only with shinier stuff. Here's the trap. You finally get ahead, but instead of using that money to pay down debt, invest, or stack savings, you reward yourself. New car, new phone, new wardrobe. Except, guess what? The happiness boost lasts a week. The bill lasts 5 years. It's like running on a treadmill. You're sweating harder, but you're not actually moving forward. And the craziest part? Most people aren't even upgrading for themselves. They're upgrading for appearance. That new car isn't about comfort. It's about flexing on the neighbors who don't actually care. And don't get it twisted. I'm not saying you can't enjoy your money. The problem is when you trade freedom for flexing. That $600 a month car payment doesn't just cost money, it costs opportunity. Opportunity to invest, to save, to escape the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle. Here's the irony. The person living frugally, stacking cash, and driving a beater car might look behind. But give it 5 years, and they'll be the one ahead. Lifestyle inflation is the financial booby trap that makes people look rich today and stay broke forever. And if lifestyle inflation is bad, wait until you see what happens when people take it to the next level, flexing with money they don't even have. Reason number 3, debt-fueled flexing. Here's where it gets wild, so listen up. A huge chunk of the wealth you see online isn't wealth at all. It's debt in disguise. That brand new BMW your coworker's bragging about? Probably a 7-year loan with a monthly payment higher than their rent. That Gucci belt on Instagram? Likely bought with a credit card that's already screaming for mercy. And don't even get me started on buy now, pay later. The financial equivalent of saying, future me will figure it out. Spoiler, future you is broke and mad about it. Here's a stat that should blow your mind. Americans are sitting on over $1 trillion of credit card debt. That's trillion with a T. And guess what? A scary amount of that isn't medical bills or emergencies. It's dinners, gadgets, vacations, and luxury items people couldn't afford in the first place. Debt lets people look rich today while silently handcuffing their future. It's like borrowing someone else's clothes. You might look good at the party, but when the night's over, the bill is due, and you've got nothing to show for it. And the cruel part? The people you compare yourself to don't even own their flex. they're renting it from the bank. Their money game is basically smoke and mirrors, maxed cards, lease agreements, and payment plans. So if you're sitting at home with your old phone thinking you're behind, you're not. You're actually ahead. Because unlike them, you're not chained to debt disguised as success. But the problem isn't just the debt, it's the fact that society's been tricking us into measuring wealth on the wrong scoreboard. Reason number 4, the wrong scoreboard. Here's the real kicker. Most people aren't even keeping score the right way. Society tells us the scoreboard of success is cars, houses, vacations, and luxury labels. But here's the truth. None of that actually measures wealth. The real scoreboard? Net worth, cash flow, freedom of time. It's like watching a basketball game and declaring the winner based on who has the flashiest sneakers. Yeah, those Jordans might look clean, but if you're down 30 points, you're still losing. Here's a real-life example. You might see someone living in a giant house, but if that house comes with a giant mortgage, property taxes, and sleepless nights worrying about payments, that's not wealth. That's financial stress with granite countertops. Meanwhile, there's a guy quietly stacking index funds, driving his 10-year-old Toyota Corolla and living in a modest apartment. On the surface, he looks behind. But in reality, he's winning the game because his scoreboard shows financial freedom creeping closer every day. The tragedy is, most people would rather look wealthy than be wealthy. They want the applause more than the actual win. But applause doesn't pay bills, and it definitely doesn't buy freedom. So if you're sitting there comparing your real progress to someone else's fake scoreboard, don't. Because playing by the wrong rules guarantees you lose the game no matter how good you look doing it. Speaking of playing games, you're not the only one being tricked. Corporations literally design the rules, so you'll always feel like you're behind. Reason number 5. Corporations want you to feel broke. Here's the ugly truth. Companies need you to feel like you're behind because that's how they keep you buying. Think about it. Apple doesn't release a new iPhone every year because your old one stopped working. They release it because they've mastered the art of making you feel outdated. Suddenly, the phone that worked perfectly fine yesterday now feels like a dinosaur today. Why? Because they told you it is. Luxury brands pull the same stunt. That $3,000 handbag, sure, it's leather, but the real product isn't the bag, it's the status. They're not selling you a purse, they're selling you a seat at the You Matter table. The message is clear. If you don't have this, you're invisible. And the second you buy it, congrats, you're visible. Until next season, when it's out of style and you're back at square one. And let's not forget fast fashion. They rotate trends so quickly that if you don't buy a new outfit every month, you feel behind. But in reality, the only thing you're falling behind on is your savings account. It's psychological warfare with a price tag. Companies thrive on your insecurity, and they've built trillion-dollar industries on convincing you that you're not enough unless you spend. But here's the truth. You're not behind. You're just the target of marketing so sharp, it makes you feel broke, even when you're doing okay. And if you thought corporations making you feel broke was bad, wait until you see how far people go to pretend they're rich, with stuff they don't even own. Reason number 6, the rent-to-flex epidemic. This one's almost comical. People are literally renting wealth just to look like they have it. We're talking luxury handbags, designer watches, even full-on sports cars. All rented, all temporary, all for the illusion. There are companies right now that will let you subscribe to designer clothes like Netflix, except instead of binge-watching movies, you're binge-spending your paycheck for Instagram likes. I once knew a guy who rented a Lamborghini for the weekend. Not because he had a wedding, not because he had a business event. Nope, just for TikTok. He posted a video revving the engine. People commented, "Bro is living the dream," and then he returned it on Monday to go back to his 9-to-5. That's not wealth, that's cosplay. Even vacations get the rent-to-flex treatment. People will Airbnb a luxury mansion for one night, take 200 photos, and drip-feed them on Instagram like they live there. Meanwhile, their actual apartment has a leaky faucet and carpet stains from 2007. Here's the catch. Fake wealth is exhausting. You're paying a premium to borrow status that doesn't even belong to you. And while it might trick strangers online, it won't fool your bank account. So next time you see someone showing off a lifestyle that looks 10 levels above yours, just remember, there's a decent chance they don't own it. They rented the dream for a day and are back to reality with the rest of us. And speaking of pretending to own things, let's talk about how people brag about assets that aren't really theirs in the first place. Reason number 7, the illusion of assets. Here's one of the sneakiest tricks in the book. People love to brag about what they own, when in reality, the bank owns most of it. That giant house your cousin won't shut up about? Yeah, he owns about 5% of it. The other 95% belongs to the bank until the mortgage is paid off, which, let's be honest, might be never. That shiny new SUV your coworker flexes in the parking lot? Leased. Translation. They're basically renting it from the dealership with a monthly bill bigger than their savings account. It's the financial equivalent of wearing a crown from Party City and calling yourself royalty. On the surface, it looks impressive. But peel back one layer and you realize it's just plastic. Here's the thing. True assets put money in your pocket. Fake assets take money out. A rental property that cash flows. Asset. A car loan you're drowning in. Liability wearing an asset costume. Meanwhile, the people who look boring, The ones driving 10-year-old Toyotas, living in modest homes and not flashing labels, they're often the ones stacking actual wealth. They're not trying to impress strangers. They're buying freedom. So the next time someone brags about their big house or luxury car, just smile. Because if the bank owns it, it's not an asset. It's a liability with tinted windows. And if you think that's sneaky, wait until you see how people carefully edit their lives to only show their wins and hide all the messy parts. Reason number 8, people only show their wins. Here's the thing about social media and even real-life flexing. Nobody shows you the losses. Ever. That guy who posted about buying a brand new iPhone on launch day, he didn't post about the fact that his rent check bounced last week, your friend showing off a $1,200 pair of sneakers. Yeah, funny how they didn't mention the overdraft fees that came with it. And that coworker bragging about their Cancun vacation? They forgot to post the part where they'll be eating instant ramen for the next 3 months to pay it off. It's human nature. People broadcast the wins and bury the losses. It's like watching a casino ad. You see the jackpot winner holding up a giant check, smiling ear to ear. What you don't see, the thousands of people who lost their shirts at the same slot machine. And when you compare yourself to just their highlight reel, you start believing you're the only one struggling. But here's the truth. Behind every flashy win is usually a long list of financial L's that nobody's talking about. Let me give you a golden piece of advice. The next time you feel like you're falling behind, remind yourself. You're comparing your full unedited story to someone else's best scenes. It's not just unfair, it's a rigged comparison you can never win. But here's the biggest trap of all. It's not just what people show, it's the timeline you think you're supposed to be on. Reason number 9, you're playing on a delayed timeline. Here's something you need to tattoo on your forehead. You are not behind. You are on your own timeline. Think about it. Oprah didn't become a millionaire until her 30s. Jeff Bezos was still flipping burgers in his 20s. Morgan Freeman didn't become famous until his 50s. Meanwhile, you're comparing yourself at 24 to someone online who's flashing fake wealth. That's like comparing your first draft essay to someone else's final paper. Your journey isn't late, it's just different. The biggest scam of modern society is convincing people that if they don't make it by 25, they've failed. No, you're just starting the marathon. Don't compare your mile 2 to someone else's mile 15. And if you still don't believe me, let's end with the ultimate reality check. Reason number 10, real wealth is silent. The loudest people online, the ones bragging, flexing, showing off, are usually broke. The real wealthy people, they're invisible. The guy in a t-shirt and jeans at Starbucks might be worth $5 million. The flashy guy with Gucci head to toe might be one bounce check away from bankruptcy. Why? Because real wealth doesn't need validation. It doesn't scream. It whispers. It's not the shiny car. It's the paid-off mortgage. It's not the Rolex. It's the freedom to take a Tuesday off. Here's the harsh truth. If someone looks like they're winning all the time, they're probably losing quietly. And if you feel behind right now, you're probably further ahead than you think. So let's bring this home. You're not behind. You're not failing. You're not the only one struggling. The truth is, most people aren't as rich as they look. They're just better at pretending. And if you stop comparing yourself to illusions and start focusing on your own lane, budgeting, investing, building side income, stacking assets, you'll wake up one day realizing you passed all those people you used to envy. Remember this, quiet progress always beats loud pretending. So the next time you feel like everyone's ahead of you, just smile. Because while they're trying to look rich today, you're quietly building the kind of wealth that will last decades.